Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed, into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with ZeldaSpeaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
Grand Rising. Yes, this is another great Monday morning. Thank you for tuning in and listening to The Female Solution. We appreciate you for being a part of this morning think tank as we seek to transform the world from the way it is to the way it should be. And this is very doable because all it takes is for the unaware to become the aware. There's only two kinds of people on the earth: those who are aware that they are an expression of the Creator, and therefore they are perfect and whole just as they are. They are the spirit of love. They are here to experience joy, and they are here to learn so that they may continue to elevate the growth of their soul. And so those people who know this, there's a way that they live. They live in mindfulness of other people. They live according to the one law that is the law of the universe, and that is treat others as you wish to be treated. And so, because this is the way they live, no one has to fear their actions. No one has to fear being robbed by them or cheated by them or mistreated by them. No one has to fear them because they know who they are. They are aware. Now, the other people are the unaware. And these are people who live in fear. They believe that others are out to hurt them. And so they don't trust people. They believe that they are inadequate. And so they seek ways to put down other people, thinking it will make them feel better about their own perceived lack. They are not honest because they fear that if they will be exposed and they will be publicly humiliated. So they live lives of stress, and they have a perception of reality that is fear-based. They even believe that our Creator is a mean-spirited, punitive being that is going to make them feel bad once they leave this life because of all the mistakes they've made. So not only do they not enjoy their lives, they can't even look forward with joy to an afterlife. These are very unhappy people. And because they're unhappy, they bring unhappiness with them where they go. So these are the two kinds of people that are on the earth, regardless of what they are, race, sex, religion. It's all about what person believes about themselves. So those who are aware have a task, and that is simply to raise awareness among the unaware. This is what shows like the Female Solution has as its mission, to raise awareness. Because once you become aware of who you are, then you have no need to live in fear. You have no need to hurt anyone else. You have no need to be dishonest with anyone else. And you have no need to distrust anyone else, because you know who you are and you know why you're here. And so all you have to do is enjoy your creative energies and share your creative energies in order to make this world even more enjoyable. Earth is scheduled to become one of those places where people come to live in joy, which means all of the beings who are unaware have to be made aware through a series of experiences that help them to see. And these experiences might appear to be painful experiences, but they're really designed to teach. They're for the purpose of helping the unaware to awaken to awareness. Everything in life that we experience is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves, so that we may correct wrong thoughts about ourselves. When we believe we are unworthy of respect, then we experience appears to be disrespect coming from other people. And we, in our thoughts, may suffer from beliefs of unworthiness simply because we believe we are unworthy. So, as long as we believe these things about ourselves, we will continue to draw to ourselves these experiences. People in our lives that are seemingly unkind and inconsiderate. And we will continue to experience the feeling of unworthiness until we recognize that these people are only expressing what they feel about themselves, and it has nothing to do with us whatsoever. Have you ever encountered somebody early in the morning, just before your day gets started, maybe you're standing at the bus stop waiting to get on the bus, and some rude person comes by and says something like, "Get out of the way," or some other rude thing. And you will focus on that person and what they did, and all of that. And it can ruin your entire day. We do this every day. Everything someone else does, we project what it means about ourselves. And it never occurs to us that people who behave badly are reacting to something internal, a bad feeling that they have about themselves. And so, because we are constantly judging ourselves, we are constantly allowing others to make us feel badly about ourselves. What we must do is raise our awareness of who we are and constantly remind ourselves that there is nothing wrong with us. We came here perfect as we are. We are an expression of the divine being of creation, the life force, the source of all life, here to have a learning experience. And nothing that anyone does can diminish who we are. That has to become an understanding. I learned a new definition of understanding. Can you stand under that thought? Yes. If you can understand it, and I can stand under that thought, that belief, then I have understanding. So understand that you are perfect as you are. And anyone else's behavior is only a reflection of their own inner struggle. Once you free yourself from your self-condemnation, then you can enjoy your life and you can understand each learning experience. This is the greatest challenge that we all have, because we're living in a world where self-condemnation is taught. Self-condemnation is a way of life. As long as people are taught that the creator of the universe stands ready to condemn, and that belief is what puts in motion the idea that we are worthy of condemnation, and replace them with a true understanding of who we are and why we're here and what we are experiencing, so that we can change our perception of the reason others behave as they do. We can stop putting forth energy of trying to convince someone else that we're worthy of respect. We can stop putting forth energy trying to convince someone that we're worthy of love. We can stop putting forth energy trying to correct other people. Everybody is on their own life path. And once you discover the reality that there is no condemnation coming at the end of your time, there is no judgment of your inadequacy and worthiness of punishment, then you can live in the joy and freedom of someone who can appreciate this learning experience, undo lifetimes of misteachings. But this is our goal here on The Female Solution. We're already changing the way we interact and exchange. Right now, we are agreeing to operate according to a monetary system which requires people to have a certain physical substance in order to be able to obtain what they need. People who don't have access to that particular substance, known as money, currency, whatever it is that the society they live in uses as a symbol of wealth, those who don't have it are allowed to suffer and be denied what the earth has provided for free: food, materials to create shelter, clothing, materials to generate heat and cooling so that one's physical body may be taken care of. We're presently living in a society that denies these basic things to people. If they don't have a substance we have decided symbolizes value. Well, we're evolving out of that belief. We're evolving out of that belief system into ultimately a system where everyone's needs are provided for simply because they exist, not because they've proven themselves worthy in some way, not because they belong to a certain family, not because a certain institution has decided that they can have food, clothing, and shelter, but simply because they exist. They will be given the human right to share in what the earth has provided all living beings for free. We're evolving to that point. So a step toward that point is what many have become involved in known as cryptocurrency, in which the idea of the symbol of wealth is merely exchanged computers. You are not physically holding something that you have to trade. You're moving it through technology. It's really an idea more than a substance. And this is the step toward that ultimate goal of being able to simply supply each other's needs without having to own or possess a symbolic substance representing wealth. We're getting to that point. We invite you to join us on Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks as we continue with part 2 of Rafiki Cai on cryptocurrency. Is cryptocurrency the new money? Is this our opportunity to even the economic playing field? What should we be doing now to get ready for this global transformation? Rafiki Cai joins ZeldaSpeaks for part 2 of this examination of cryptocurrency. It's a wonderful thing to see the evolution of our world to a different way of thinking. We're moving to a point where poverty, as it has been, will no longer exist. There will be no need for it. There will be no need to create classes of people who are able to receive what they need to live, and therefore feel that they must take from others. The creation of crime comes from the crime of depriving people of what is rightfully theirs. Stop doing that. We will no longer experience the fear of others' misbehavior because they will not have the fear that they're going to be deprived. So we have a way to change the society in which we live, and all of us have the power to contribute to the change. All of us have the power to change our thoughts, change our reality. But everything begins with a change of thought, and that means believing that things can and will change. This is a time of transformation. And so one of the things that we learn is that every system that we have exists because we agree to allow it. And if it is unjust or unequal, then we have the power to choose to create something else that is more just. And that simply means that once the majority of the people are on the same wavelength, are on the same level of understanding, then our collective will manifest in the creation of something that is fair and just. So once again, we're back to our collective goal, and that is to raise awareness among the unaware. So before we transition to our commercial break and hear from ZeldaSpeaks, I want to read to you a message from my friends, the Arcturian Group, and they send communications from time to time to us as a collective body so that we can think. And their intention from their vantage point, is to help us undo programming that is fear-based and to reclaim our power, humanity, to create that which we desire to have. If we don't like poverty, then create a system of sharing so that no one is deprived. If we don't like sickness, then create a system of wellness living so that no one is sick. If we don't like ignorance, then create a system of sharing knowledge so that everyone may have a knowing. Whatever we need to have, we simply have the opportunity to create it, which means undoing the wrong belief that some other entity has power over us and is keeping us from doing that which we need to do in order to live in a state of joy. So the letter from the Arcturian, dated January 28, 2018, says, "Dear ones, we come to you in love and with a clear understanding of the difficulties facing so many in these times of upheaval and change. Be not afraid, for everything is proceeding according to plan. The intense frequencies of light pouring into Earth at this time are serving to expose and bring into universal awareness the many residing in third-dimensional consciousness. As the people of the world become increasingly more enlightened, the outer scene must reflect this as higher and purer forms of everything. Heretofore undiscovered and advanced ideas regarding government, medicine, education, spirituality, work, environment, etc., will begin to manifest as world consciousness evolves more fully into light and truth. These times are forcing many to carefully examine their choices, and all who are spiritually ready are being guided to step more fully into enlightenment. However, there remain those who, although spiritually ready, are choosing to remain in the third-dimensional belief system, using the excuse of social position, family, friends, careers, etc., as their reasoning. They tell themselves that living spiritually is too impractical in a, quote, dog-eat-dog world. Many of you are in this situation right now and must make the choice. Do I really believe what I have learned about truth, or do I not? Mankind can no longer continue to live happily with one foot in the spiritual world and the other in the material. Third-dimensional consciousness and spiritual consciousness have been residing side by side for a very long time. However, this will no longer to a higher dimensional resonance. It is time to make your choice, dear ones. Which side will you choose? Living truth can be difficult in the beginning when appearances seem to contradict everything about it. For a time, sometimes years, automatic responses based in lifetimes of programming will continue to manifest without thought, spewing forth as irritation, anger, disgust, judgment, and criticism. Never believe that you have failed when this happens, or go into resistance and self-condemnation, but rather simply and with self-love, examine the beliefs underlying these responses, asking yourselves, am I believing that is making me feel this way? Choose some word or action that can quickly shift your awareness out of negativity and into truth if you find yourself reacting in some habitual or unloving way. Quickly bring to mind one word like error, hypnotism, false, separation, etc., or an action like bringing your hand to your heart can be the trigger that stops the process and helps you realign. A particular word or action in and of itself has no power, but represents your intention to shift out of alignment with an old habit. Choose some word or action that resonates with you, and don't be afraid to change it if it doesn't feel right. You will know the word or action that is perfect for you by an inner response to it. Become alert to old personal programming by noticing when and how easily it slips in. Example, you drive somewhere and find there are no parking spots. Without thought, you suddenly find yourself becoming irritated and angry toward the drivers or the owners of the store, and by the time you finally get to where you're going, you're carrying energies of anger and irritation and a sense of separation. The moment you recognize that some old programming is beginning, use your special word or action. This will serve to, quote, nip it in the bud, so to speak, allowing you to step back, rethink the situation, and accept it from a higher level. With time, your automatic responses will no longer reflect old programming, but will instead flow from a higher level because you have done the work of retraining yourself to respond with truth. There are often situations that will leave you fully immersed in old programming. If and when this happens, set aside time after things have settled, take the event into meditation, examining without judgment the hows and whys of your responses. Never judge, condemn, or hate yourself for some seeming failure, but rather realize that being on earth is about experiencing and learning, and you're doing exactly that. In the beginning, spiritual awakening is very basic and three-dimensional, built around knowledge, pondering, books, classes, discussion, study, and simple practices. This can continue for lifetimes, depending upon the individual. These practices eventually serve to open inner doors that allow the flow of grace. Grace is the gentle and loving energy of divine consciousness, capable of automatically dissolving anything not in or of it. Spiritual journey that begins to unfold more through grace rather than from any specific action. It gets easier. Living the spiritual life is never acting, quote, holy around friends, relatives, or coworkers while trying to save, fix, or heal them by pointing out the error of their ways. Those around you never need to know the truth you hold within, but those receptive will feel it in your energy of love, forgiveness, patience, and acceptance. This is when those who are ready will be drawn to ask you what it is that you know. These are the ones with whom you can begin to share, starting with just a little at a time. This is from the Arcturian group, and we'll continue to share more from their message at a later time. And now it's time for us to take a break and continue with more on cryptocurrency. Think about what you would like the world to see. Think about what you want in your own life. Visualize it and believe it can happen. We'll be back after this break with ZeldaSpeaks. And we invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and press 1 when you're ready to speak. We'll be back with Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks and Rafiki Cai on Cryptocurrency Part 2. If you're listening online, stay with us.
Grand Rising to you and yours. Grand Rising this morning, and thank you for joining us on Monday Morning Mindfulness on Blog Talk Radio. The Female Solution, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks. Hopefully your weekend was a long and wonderful one. Chances are it was probably not long enough, but it was wonderful anyway. The weekend is never long enough, and then Monday rolls around, and we have to start the week off. And we have a tendency to start it off on a fast pace because that's what we have been conditioned, programmed to do. Well, what we do here on Monday Morning Mindfulness is try to start the week off on a slower pace, to slow things down just a moment, because the moment your foot hits the floor, you are off and running. So There are days when I will do my morning meditation in the bed. If you just spend 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes, 15, half an hour, whatever you can spare, whatever you choose to, the time that you give yourself to feel good about yourself, to spend some quality time with yourself, because people, places, and things will come at you in all different directions, and you have to handle those situations. And in order to handle those situations, as Dr. Maya Angelou once said, you must face God before you face the day. And that is to put on the armor, to shield yourself from people, places, and things, and situations and circumstances that will come into your life to throw you off course. I'm sure you've heard all the slogans that we have that say, hurry up and wait. Really? Speed up to slow down. What is that all about? It's to keep us off-center. These little cliches are programmed into our subconscious mind, and we walk around with that on a daily basis, and we wonder why we say the things that we say, do the things that we do, and feel the way that we feel, because there's a slight chance we haven't taken me time. And me time is the most important time. Is it not? We have been listening to so many outside sources and forces that we forget to go within. And that's where all of the truth lies, because spirit will never, ever, 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 ever send you in the wrong direction, because it is the inner spirit that guides and directs us in the directions that we need to go. And I ask the spirit that is within me, that is within all of us, to give me the words today that will resonate as truth in those who hear it, and be open and receptive to that which they are not accustomed to, because it is not my job to make you comfortable. It is my job to make you uncomfortable, to help you, assist you in the process of stepping out of your comfort zone. Because we have been in the comfort zone, the programming of our minds for so long, it has just become a way of life. We are in what I sometimes refer to as the bewitched syndrome. Some of you may not be old enough to know what that is, but back in the day, there was a program on television called Bewitched. And the wife's name was Samantha Stevens, and her husband's name was Darren Stevens, and they had Samantha Stevens had a mother, what was her name, Medora, and she was the wicked stepmother of Darren, and they were always clashing. But I say bewitched because we want what we want when we want it. And we live in the bewitched syndrome because we think we can twinkle our noses and it will happen. We think we can turn on the phone, the TV, the radio, iPad, whatever it is, and get instant gratification, satisfaction, because that's what we've been programmed to do. And the new millennials, that's all they know. They don't know anything about back in the day. They've heard about it. They experienced the music, but they don't know anything about it because they are being programmed as we speak. We have been programmed. So on this show, on higher learning with ZeldaSpeaks, I always like to try to take us out of our comfort zone and move to another realm of reality that we may or may not be comfortable with, but we're going to move forward anyway because that's who we are and that's what we do. So as we begin this day, I always like to start with a little word of inspiration. And today is January 29th, but I am going to read to you from January 28th because I do as I am instructed by the Spirit. And today it just seems so apropos. And it is taken from my second book, Inspirational Conversations with Shalomith Yisrael, a.k.a. ZeldaSpeaks. And it says, why are we so concerned with what others say about us? It is much more important that we are concerned with what we think about ourselves. And where are those voices coming from? Voices of the past can make or break a future. Applaud yourself today for the miracle of you. That's right. I'll read that again. Applaud yourself today for the miracle of you. Because if you don't, no one else will. Outside influences is often the kiss of death. In the courtship of personal achievement, singer Lauryn Hill says, you can't win if you ain't right within. You are your greatest ally. Use it wisely and be not concerned about what others think about you. More importantly, do you think about yourself? Inspirational Conversations with Shalomith Yisrael, a.k.a. ZeldaSpeaks. At ZeldaSpeaks.com. So visit the page for more information and inspiration. And if you'd like to join our newsletter of information and inspiration, which goes out every day after the show, as a matter of fact, we can include you in the database for Inspirational Conversations newsletter of information and inspiration. So be sure and go to ZeldaSpeaks.com and sign up. It's on the first page. You'll see a little purple box there, and all the information you need will be right there. Just simply send us your name, email address, and if you'd like to comment about what you like about the show, we'd love to hear it. And if you're joining us online this morning, the request lines are always open, 515-605-9325. And our very special guest today is Brother Rafiki Cai, the digital doctor, and he will be talking to us about cryptocurrency. And I'm sure you have probably heard the word cryptocurrency. You've probably heard Bitcoin. There's a lot of information online. I found out about Bitcoin currency through Dr. Boyce Watkins. I've been listening to him for a while. And so I was familiar with it, but when the digital doctor, Brother Rafiki Cai, came on board, I have learned so much without investing a dime, and that is one of the things that he suggests that we do is to set up a dummy account, so to speak, a play account or whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't have to be your name, but just an account to watch the market, because as Dr. Naima Latif, executive producer of The Female Solution, says, earlier this morning in the show is that this is a possibility that could level the playing field as far as economics is concerned, because people of color, the working class, and people of all colors, brown, yellow, red, people of color have been ignored or shut out of the process of achieving financial freedom for a variety of reasons, which is systemic. It was designed that way so that there would be an upper echelon and the people on the bottom who are the working class who they feel don't deserve to have the same opportunities as the privileged few have. So this is an opportunity for you not to believe what we say, but to do your own homework. Because how many times have we been bamboozled, so to speak? How many times have we been told something and it was not true? So we cannot rely on the experience, the research, the knowledge of others. We have to do due diligence, and we have to do the work ourselves. And that requires some time. Well, I've got a job, I've got kids, I'm in school, I'm a homemaker, I'm a grandparent, I'm a caretaker. Yes, you are all of those things, but you have the same amount of time as those who have more opportunities than we do. What levels that playing field is time. We have the time to sleep 30 minutes less or an hour less at the beginning of the day. We could spend 30 minutes to an hour or two less watching our favorite TV show, because 9 times out of 10, if you're watching something else, you may not be as productive as you could be because you're watching someone else live their dream, especially with reality television. Are we not hooked on a few reality TV shows? Of course we are. We live in a time where it is the thing. And that is not to say that it's all bad, because it all serves a purpose. I am the HGTV watcher. I love me some HGTV. Why? Because I get ideas of things that I want to do, of how I want my surrounding to look, especially when it comes to Earth, because I live in a building that is nowhere near the ground. I live in a high-rise, so I am always looking for a way to bring more Earth into my environment. I have a house full of plants because we all need something to keep us grounded. I can't step out into my backyard or front yard where the dandelions or the roses or the flowers or the tree stands and set my feet in the dirt or stand and absorb the sun or walk out into the water, because we have been conditioned to live in environments that are supposedly better. And from my days as a little girl, lived growing up in the projects at 3651 South Federal, apartment 907, which is now Park Place. If you've been over there lately, you say to yourself, OMG, how has this place changed? But I said that to say, even in the projects, stayed outside in the sun, in the dirt, playing in the sand. And I do believe that kept us grounded as children. And we somehow got away from playing in the dirt, in the sand. And it's what keeps us connected. I guess that's why Oprah loves trees. And I am so very grateful for my first cousin, which was like a sister to me, Marva Jolly Pitchford, who taught, I don't know, years and years and years at Chicago State University. She taught pottery and how she used clay, mud. She even had a show called Mud Peoples. And there's a documentary that a sister I met through, I was doing a speaking event on networking, I believe it was, probably about 20 years ago. And the sister's name is Shuli Ashell. And Shuli and I got to talking, and she told me she does documentaries, and the documentary that she just recently done was on a lady by the name of Marva Jolly, who did a show on Mud Peoples. And I'm like, Mud Peoples? That's my cousin. That's my big sister, Marva Jolly. Are you sure? Of course she's sure. And then she talked about how she went down south to Mississippi on the farm and went way back up in the woods where my grandfather's property was. And, I mean, he owned just, I don't know, was it 200, 300, 400 acres? I don't know. I don't remember. But it was a lot of property for a black man in the 30s. That was unheard of, 30s, 40s, 50s. And as I'm looking at this documentary, I see my Aunt Edna, who basically saved the day when my mom passed, and I was living in the projects, and there was no family here, so we had to go south to live with my aunt who lived on a farm. That's how I learned how to pick cotton, because if you want to eat, you're going to pick some cotton, okay? So when I tell people that I pick cotton, they get a big chuckle out of that. It's like, yes, because back in the day when I was a kid, I could not appreciate the experience that I was having because I felt abandoned. My mom died. My brother sent me away. I just felt so unloved, so unnecessary. Why was I here? Why am I struggling to stay alive? Why don't I just disappear? Why don't I just die? But there was a little small voice back of my mind as I was walking down the field, the cotton field, feeling the dirt on my feet, and I'd bend over and I'd feel the cotton as it was scraping my hands as I would pull it off. And I'd look at it and I'd ask myself, God, there has to be a better way. I don't know what it is. I don't know where to look for it. But I know this is not the end of my life. Show me. And in that showing, my hands are in the dirt. My feet are in the dirt. And it's the soil of the earth that I felt something come over me, and it gave me life. It gave me a reason for being. And I sat there and I cried and I laughed. And as a kid, I'm thinking, I'm losing my mind, right? But it was God speaking through me, through the soil. And I said all of that to say this. In order to be grounded, we must be in tune with nature. I don't have dirt. The dirt that I do have is in my plants. That's why I don't have a cat. Because if I came home and a cat was digging in my plant, we would have to have a conversation and the cat would not win. I'll just leave it at that. I digress. But I said all that to say this. It is imperative that we become attuned to the forces of nature that we are aligned with. Once we open the channels to be open and receptive. And one of those channels today comes to us in the form of a young man by the name of Rafiki Cai, the digital doctor, whom I met probably 15, 20 years ago when I was working at Gospel Radio 1390, V103, WGCI, and he just came in as this little unassuming man, but he had so much knowledge and wisdom, all I could do was listen. So I invite you to call a friend as we are about to go to the 8 o'clock commercial break. Call a friend, text, tweet, Twitter, go online, social media, tell everybody that you know. Coming up in the 8 o'clock hour is the one and only digital doctor, Brother Rafiki Cai. And he is going to teach us how to level the playing field. Last week we talked about part one, and I do apologize for the interference because we could not hear him that well. He is from another state. He was here in Chicago where the Wi-Fi signal was extremely low, and so he had to go to a place where the signal was good, but there was so much noise in the background. So we re-recorded the show, and it will be on in the archives, part one. But today we will have him live coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. And you will be glad that you did. So stay close for more higher learning with ZeldaSpeaks on Monday Morning Mindfulness, and we will be right back. Grand Rising, and welcome back to Monday Morning Mindfulness. Let's cut to the chase right away. Bring on the digital doctor himself for Monday Morning Mindfulness. Brother Rafiki Cai is joining us. Good morning, Brother Cai.
Greetings. I trust that you can hear me well.
Hear you very well. Let's get to the point. You've got a lot of information on cryptocurrency. Let us continue from the conversation from last week for those who may have not joined us and who have not had a chance to go to the archives. Exactly what is cryptocurrency and how can we apply it in our lives today?
Great. So there are some phrases that we can use to define and refer to cryptographic currency, and I'd like to say it's the Internet of Value. It is the decentralized peer-to-peer sharing of value. So what that means in simpler terms is that I can send value that I have directly to you, any third-party trust factor, without any intermediary, without any bank or broker or service. I can do this directly to you worldwide, encrypted. That means with layers of privacy. And of course, lesser fees and so forth and so on. So the Internet of Value, peer-to-peer exchange of value.
And how is it different than the current value that we currently experience in the exchange of currency, the current system of currency?
Right. Wow. So that's a great question, and there are so many ways that it is different. There's really a laundry list, but let me see if I can tick off some of the main ones. So one is that it is digital, right? So we live in a digital age where we are connected ocean to ocean, country to country, continent to continent, right? So it would make sense then that in a digital age that we would have a digital medium of exchange, right? So the first attribute that I would highlight is that it is digital. The second that I would highlight is that in it being digital, and this is a little bit advanced, oftentimes when the conversation is had about cryptographic currency, people don't really get to this level of it, but I want your listeners to be up on this. In that it is digital, that it is also ultimately programmable. So imagine programmable money. Imagine money that you can basically design, architect, and execute that has built-in features right inside of the money. That is a long, long way from our unintelligent, non-digital tender that we use on a day-to-day basis. So basically, the world is moving forward, right, in a lot of different ways. And as so much of our society has gotten wrapped up in ones and zeros are how we refer to when things are digital or cyber or via computer, ones and zeros. Money is coming along the same way that artificial intelligence and so many other things are coming along. So it's programmable. The third thing that I would reemphasize is that it is decentralized and transparent. No third party brokers, no holder of trust, right? It is peer to peer. So it's digital, it's programmable, it's decentralized, and peer to peer.
So that means I can, in doing my homework for myself as well as my family, this can be personal or business, can it not?
It absolutely can. It absolutely can. It can be both in your businesses. You can accept cryptographic currency in exchange for whatever products or services you are placing in the marketplace, and then you can turn around like most of us do and send it to our children, right, who may be away at college or fresh out of college getting their start. So yes, it is peer to peer, whether that is customer to merchant, to child, or giver to charity, peer, whatever those peers might line up to be.
Now, this could also be an excellent opportunity. You mentioned children we are outnumbered by them. So this could be an investment for long term for education, and starting a new business, a wealth of a myriad of possibilities. Could it not be?
Absolutely. I was listening to you in the hour before the 8 o'clock point, right? And you were talking, you were referencing Dr. Naima and the possibility that is before us to level the playing field. I would like to be on record 1,000 times saying that there has never been a time this. There has never been a time such as this. And that is not a celebrity endorsement. I'm not like attaching that to any particular product. I'm speaking in fact, right? There has never been a time when the flow of money has been wide open in a sense to whosoever will, right? There are nearly 1,500 cryptographic currencies that are currently placed. Now, obviously, all of those are not of the same quality. Some of them are scams, but the bigger point is that the field of money, the playing field of money, is open and accessible for this window of time. We would be so wise we would do so good if we would focus our energy and our attention and marshal ourselves. And as you point out, our young people, one of the best things that godfathers, parents, grandparents, mentors could do if your child is graduating, going into high school, set them up a crypto account. By the time that they are a senior, you will be possibly putting into their hands something that, wow, you couldn't possibly even measure. I'll give you, there's so many anecdotes like this, but I'm going to share this one. So, a couple of years ago, a particular artist released an album. And by industry standards, the album was a flop because it only sold 126,000 copies, right? Like, boo, 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 like, like you flopped, right? But this was 2014. 2014. The artist allowed to pay them in Bitcoin, right?
Oh.
So they raised. Oh, yeah, exactly. You already know where I'm going. They raised 2014. They raised 700 Bitcoin. They took in a total of 700 Bitcoin in 2014, right? That's $7 million today, right? So I'm on the Bitcoin train. We probably have had, for the most part, the biggest ride. From something going from pennies to now over $11,000. Bitcoin has that much ride left in it. Some argue that it does. I personally kind of doubt it, but there will be successors to Bitcoin, and I want to say that to your listeners as well. Even though one may have missed the Bitcoin train, this thing is just getting started. This is in the embryonic stages. This is nascent. This is like Prodigy, the well, for those who are cyber on denizens. This is the age of the well and Prodigy, which came before AOL, right? So, like, that's how early this is. Prodigy came before AOL. It came before MySpace, right? So that's where we are, and it would just behoove us to really, really get in the saddle. And I want to say this as well: intellectual playing field, right? This is like, in order for you to prosper, in order for you to be in a commanding position, mind power in, right? You have to know what the blockchain is. And let me kind of lay that layer. All cryptographic currency set on top of a foundational technology known as the blockchain. The blockchain is simply a decentralized ledger, right? A decentralized ledger that records transaction and holds it ad infinitum right in that same transparent ledger. It is, however, a serious innovation that will be transforming bases. So this playing field is not an observatory. It is like a participatory. You've got to put in some mind power, and then you can be able to enjoy the benefits thereof.
Because, as in with any pioneering event, opportunity, experience, circumstance, situation, there's got to be some work done. And
exactly.
We can't expect someone to do it for us because we may be misinformed. So that means we've got to do our own work, do we not?
We do have to do our own work, but if we move in collective, we can make that work exponentially easier. If I stay connected with you and Dr. Naima, and I'm sharing what I'm unearthing, and you all are sharing with me, and we have concerted effort then we can do the work, but we can do it with an easier lift, right?
Mm.
So, yes, yes. So, college students, high school students, parents who are listening to me, block out some time. This is one of the greatest investments that you can make, even in your time. Like I heard you saying, we could do like a half hour less sleep in the morning, and like a half hour off of a particular in the evening. In that time of researching this thing and understanding it, asking your questions, getting questions answered, and also preparing yourself so that you are not a victim to the controversy, right? Because this is like innovative and we've never been here before. There's a lot going on. People who are taking advantage of the situation and running scam central, right? But I always say to people, technology itself is amoral. We lay our morals on top of it. So if there are bad morals being exercised vis-a-vis a particular technology, do not look at the technology per se, look at the perpetrators who are abusing a particular technology, right? And so the
Mm.
last thing, yeah, I mean, fire, right? You could be an arsonist or you can cook. Which one you gonna do, right? Don't look at the fire, right? You know what I'm saying? If there's some arson going on, do not look at the fire. Look at the person who mis misuse that particular
Mm.
technology, right? So we have to we have to not be twisted on it, right? Because we can get out here in this cryptographic at this particular point it's almost nearly a jungle, right? We can get out here in the jungle and see and hear so much and just throw up our hands and say it's a scam and it's a bubble and just people are getting taken advantage of. You would be missing the point,
Mm.
right? That there's more going on than just perhaps what your limited sight can see because you have limited perspective and limited knowledge.
Mm. And how many of us are willing to come out of our comfort zone and do the work? Because as I said earlier, this show is not here to make you comfortable, but to make you uncomfortable, to open you up to the possibilities. Because we have been
And I
programmed
always,
exactly just what we're doing. Go
yeah,
ahead.
we definitely have to stretch. If there's no stretch, there's no growth. If there's no stretch, there's no circulation. If there's no stretch, there's no vibrancy. And one of the things I also want to offer as context, right? Comparison to what our forebears and our ancestors had to endure. Many times I feel like we should be ashamed of ourselves, right? We're sitting here like in our present day comforts talking about being able to just use our minds, right? And use technology like, click on some keyboards and click some mouses, right? To be able to create and circulate currencies and fortunes. You put that up against picking cotton, right? So the digital cotton that we might have to pick in this day and time, the work we might have to put in, what is it in comparison to generations that went before us?
Mm. Mm. Oh my goodness, I love that digital cotton. Wow, I would love to pick digital cotton.
This is easy cotton right here.
That's easy
I mean,
cotton.
in comparison, right. No sun beating on your back, no no pains in your back from bending over for hours and hours,
Yes.
right? It's not easy in that we don't have to be careful and we don't have to be shrewd. We have to be responsible, but we can do so from the comforts of a leather chair or from the comforts
Hello.
of Starbucks
Yes.
or whatever, right? There's
Right,
no
right.
comparison whatsoever.
Oh.
Globally connected in a globally connected opportunity. There has been no time such as this.
And there is no time like the moment. And one of the young men who called on the last show, he is on the line now, and I would like to open it up to him at 515-605-9325. Feel free to call in with your questions as we go to the phone line. Always press 1 when you'd like to speak. That would be Brother Andrew Nelson. Good morning and, grand rising, and welcome to the Female Solution Monday Morning Mindfulness.
Yes, thank you, Sister Zelda, and to the brother there. Actually, what we have to do is connect the modality that Bitcoins are to gold that collateralizes U.S. currency. It could be from the Global Debt Facility, which is held in trust for the benefit of humanity through the U.S. Monetary Gold Reserve, and used to collateralize a aurum, which means gold in Latin, and is a paper currency that's gold embossed, which would be the United States notes to replace the Federal Reserve notes, issued as universal basic income through the Treasury Direct accounts, and it can be credited onto an instrument of credit that I call the Hayek Gold TDA UBI debit card, which will also be the National Real ID card, or the Real ID compliant National ID card, which everyone must necessarily have. That way people will be able to effectively get $500 every 19 days upon reaching the age of 26, gold equivalency. You know, there's a company called Gold Money Inc., which I saw it on YouTube, in which one of the female people in the company was showing the analogy of how that the amount of gold equivalency money that you could buy a hamburger with is the same today as it was before. And so Bitcoins are not, gold. Gold is limited, but there's enough of it in the Global Debt Facility and the U.S. Monetary Gold Reserve to securitize and collateralize this instrument of credit that would be issued as universal basic income through the Real ID compliant National ID card.
Did you want to address that, Rafiki?
No, there wasn't a question in it. I listened and took in, I'd like to say, grand rising to Brother Andrew as well. He clearly is someone who has vested due time in envisioning and designing and researching and educating himself. So I just taking it in and reflecting on what he has said, because on one level too, if I do respond, especially at the level that his conversation is, he and I need to go off and have our own conversation, because we would just take extreme discussion in a whole different direction, and I don't think that would necessarily serve the majority of our listeners. So I want to thank him for calling, and definitely I reflected on it.
You're welcome. Can you mention your email address, please, so that we can stay in touch?
For sure. So self, SELF, RafikiCai.com. That's spelled RAF as in first, IKICAI. RafikiCai.com. So self, SELF, at RafikiCai.com. And I thank you for asking me that.
Thank you.
And thank you, Brother Andrew Nelson, for sharing your knowledge and information with our listening audience this morning. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we also appreciate other callers who would like to chime in this morning on the request line is open, 515-605-9325. You're listening to Monday Morning Mindfulness. Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks and Brother Rafiki Cai, the digital doctor, as we go to the line of Minister Plump on 2773. Grand Rising, Minister Plump. And thank you for joining us.
Well, yeah, shalom, mahua. We don't die, we multiply. Forever, assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Good morning, Zelda. How you doing? And to your guests, good morning, sir.
We are wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you for taking my call, too. Matter of fact, and I thank Brother Andrew Nelson for coming out to our Bitcoin meeting yesterday. We have a meeting every Sunday, at different locations, and the Harold Washington Foundation .org will be sponsoring a Bitcoin meeting at 4500 South Michigan this coming Sunday from 2:30 to 4:30. And I had a question for your guests. And for more information, Bitcoin is also the Black Wall Street. I would say the Black Wall Street of the future in cryptocurrencies for people to invest into. And by me being a new student in Bitcoin, I'm inviting people to attend and be my special guest because I believe Bitcoin is a new currency on the market to demonstrate success, breed success, be it individuals or organizations or businesses or even nations to invest their financial attributes as according to God's blessing. So my question is to your guests, are you a member of what they call MLS Bitcoin Club?
No, I am not. I actually am not a resident of Chicago. I'm a native. I'm born and raised, but I no longer live in the city. So, no, I'm not a member of any particular club. I'm just a member of this international brigade that's trying to spread the word about the possibilities inherent in blockchain. Yes,
well,
sir.
You being the doctor of Bitcoin, and I accept that. And I hope that you accept. Yes, and I'm a student, so I'm your student. I'm one of your new students, but I do want you to know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I am a member of MLS Bit Club. And I'm a new student, and I'm glad, that I'm on the project, which is for education. And education, as Malcolm X used to say, is a key to our success. Matter of fact, it's the passport to our success. And I look beyond my nose and decided to invest into my self and my family, because I found out too, family in MLS is a part of the community, and we all is a part of family. We all is a part of a community, and we should invest into do for ourselves. And I would say that came with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he made mention that the dollar bill was going to become inflated in the fall of America. And I find it to be true what he said. And yet, I feel like that, no doubt in my mind, we're going to have something to replace the inflated dollar bill in America and keeping it real. So therefore, I think that Bitcoin would be the greatest investment, and I would encourage myself as well as others to be the greatest student or a new student in Bitcoin. And I would like for you to reach out to me at 312-671-2773 or go to the Harold Washington Foundation.org for more information, because we're going to be launching it from the Swift Mansion in Chicago. And if you're ever in Chicago, we usually have our meetings every Sunday from 2:30 to 4:30 at 4500 South Michigan. And I would like for you to become my personal guest, because you can teach us a lot. And then I believe that as a part of the group, which is really a 23 team, and the word team means together everyone achieves more, together everyone achieves much, together everyone achieves millions, together everyone achieves money, and everyone achieves miracles. See how far we come now with just the thought of how Bitcoin can grow in your mind and your heart and your spirit. And I think it's a financial a gold mine for us to invest into our families and our communities. So thank you very much, Zelda. And Zelda, I would like for you to be my guest, and Sister Naima and others too, so we can study Bitcoin together, and collectively we can share more success for our people. Thank you so much. God bless your heart too.
Bless your heart too, my brother. Thank you so much for calling and sharing that information, because sometimes when a new, for lack of a better word, opportunity or expression shows up, we are so inundated with the programming that we have always had that when we see it or hear of it, it's like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be bothered with that. That's something for those folks. That's what they do. So thank you for being a part of the community that understands this pioneering effort and sharing that with our listening audience. And if you just tuned in, we are listening to Monday Morning Mindfulness, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks on the Female Solution. And my very special guest is the one and only digital doctor, Brother Rafiki Cai. And we're going to take a commercial break. So get those questions ready. And you can call in and press 1 when you're ready to speak, and Dr. Naima Latif will bring you on board, 515-605-9325, and we'll answer your questions. But right now we're going to take a commercial break, and we will be right back. Stay close. And thank you for joining us back here on Monday Morning Mindfulness on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution. Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks. And our very special guest today is the digital doctor, Brother Rafiki Cai, who is sharing information on cryptographic currency. And if you have not called someone or tweeted someone or sent them a message of some kind and let them know, we are talking about the Black Wall Street for the future. I love that what Brother Minister Plump said. We also have a caller on line, Rashida Ali on 6303. If you're just joining us, you can give us a call. We've got a few more minutes left, 515-605-9325, or you can hit us up on social media, Facebook.com, ZeldaSpeaks, and all of the other social media outlets at ZeldaSpeaks. But right now, let's go to our caller, Rashida Ali. Good grand rising, Rashida. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I just wanted to know if you all are promoting that Bitcoin promotions, because I read that it's not a good investment. If you're going to invest in anything, we should invest into the same thing that sold us before we became in slavery, precious metals like gold and other things, because the Bitcoin, or however you pronounce it, is supposed to be another scheme of the Europeans to inflate the situation. I read that. I don't know much about it, but it said a better investment is precious metals. And we do know that Abraham Lincoln, took our precious metals and gave us the greenback, which put us right back into slavery. So I don't think that Bitcoin, that new coin, is the way to go, especially after doing a little research independently myself. So what do you all think? I don't know about it. I don't know other than what I've read.
So allow me to offer this. First of all, assalamu alaikum, and in all due respect to you, my sister, and thank you for calling in. I will offer a couple of reflections for the listening community. First of all, we should always have diversified holdings and investments, right? So no one particular avenue of investment should garner all of our resources, right? So we should be diversified. And certainly there is an argument to be made that precious metals should be in our portfolio, right? But in regards to Bitcoin and cryptographic currency, to offer for your reflection that this is a global phenomenon that is going nowhere, and that we should be apprised of it, and we should be positioned to execute on it. So here's one of the things that you need to know, and I really wanted to get to this after the minister had spoken, right? We're talking about not a one single particular coin, but we are talking about a technology, right? So the conversation is not just about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is one single manifestation of a technology that is capable endless number of coins. So if we wanted to do the Nubian coin globally, people of African descent could have a single global coin that we ourselves circulate in our businesses and in our communities. This is an age of technology where we can do that, right? And we can do that from computers and without the heavy cost of mining and processing and shipping, right? So I'm not saying anything against precious metals, but certainly there is an attendant list of responsibilities that come along with investing in or harnessing or mining or dealing with precious metals. This blockchain technology and cryptographic currency, which stretches far beyond Bitcoin, I really, really would urge us to not get stuck on just Bitcoin. We are socialized where there's just like one currency in a society, so to speak. So like, our aperture is set on this one coin. But as I have mentioned, there are like, even as we speak, 1,500 different coins. So I think that we should begin to substitute the word Bitcoin, cryptographic currency, or blockchain technology. Our listeners need to know about Ethereum and Litecoin and Ripple and Cardano. This is a whole galaxy of the sharing of value, right? And so we really, really cannot afford to turn a blind eye or are using it as a scheme. We can create our own coin and let it be driven by our own values, our own morals, and our own visions. So I really, really want us to direct our attention to the technology, because in a sense of speaking, sister, this might be the digital metal of our time, right? So yes, in times before now, we have dealt with precious metals because that's what we knew, that's what was accessible to us, and we can continue to do that. But this may be digital metal, mined and store and leverage for the building of wealth.
Okay, so I understand because it really is not ticking with me. So I needed to know the difference because they're really advisors are saying not that for the primary investment in the new system.
It might not qualify as a primary investment at this time because it is embryonic and there's a lot of improvement that has to unfold and mature over the years to come. We want to be positioned in a situation so that we don't show up 10 years later when everything has been designed, architected, executed, doled out, aligned, right? So there may be wisdom in it not being the primary investment, something that people should be totally aware of and educated about. And if not Bitcoin, there may be other far more affordable coins that people might want to look at, because what we want is a culture of familiarity, management. If there is a development, say for example, if in the mid 90s, someone has said that internet technology is, it's just a tool of oppression, or it's just a tool that's just getting people under mind control. What if in the mid-90s we had turned a blind eye to internet technology, right, and had not been involved and learned it and how to master it and how to use it? It's what that put us at today, right? So that's the analogy that I want to draw, that when the world shifts, be shrewd and aware and mindful of the shift and what our role is in the shift and where we want to position ourselves in the shift. I don't believe that it's wise for us to disregard, write it off, because the shift is going to shift, right? And we need to be positioned so that we are able to not be harmfully or inadvertently disadvantaged because we're not on top of the shift. This is a shift, and it's happening, and it will continue to happen, and I believe that it is on par with what we saw in the mid-90s with the birth of the public internet. So in that sense, we just need to be good stewards and be shrewd and be aware and be alert and be educated as to what is going on.
And thank you so much for Rashida.
My pleasure, ma'am. My pleasure indeed.
And thank you, Brother Rafiki Cai, for clearing that up and answering that question and not talking around it as sometimes people do when they don't have an answer for it. But as you have proven, you are a very astute brother, and I love the comment about not to put all your eggs in one basket. It must be one of many, if possible. And what would you say to those who are listening who feel, well, actually, you already answered that question, but for those who would like to take it a step further, because we can talk about this forever and a day, and you will be back the first of every month on the first Monday of every month to help us along
the
with this
first
process.
or the second Monday? I thought I was the second Monday, no?
The second month. I'm sorry, the second month. Thank you. The second month, the second Monday of every month. Yes, sir. So what can we do for those who would like to start their homework, this research project, the journey for them? What can they do? How can they get started?
I would offer a list. Get your pens and pencils or your keyboards ready. Listening family, I'm going to try to tick off a handful of resources that one should be mindful of if they want to become a deeper student in this technology. Number one, be mindful that the prominent trading platform Robinhood, and I mention Robinhood not because I have any relationship with them, but because they have proven themselves to try to be advocates for making investments accessible to the masses. So Robinhood has opened up a cryptographic division, and you can find that at crypto.robinhood.com, and they have zero fees for investing and trading cryptographic currencies. And I do believe that probably that website will have a host of resources for educating yourself about Bitcoin. So that's one avenue. Number two, if you're going to do anything in cryptographic currency, security is an absolute must. So look into Ledger technology, LEDGER. Ledger is hardware storage technology so that you can store your currencies offline in your own keeping. I won't say a lot about that, but Ledger. If you would like to follow on a day-to-day basis the values of different coins, right? CoinMarketCap.com, CoinMarketCap, CoinMarketCap.com. You can search all of the 1,500 currencies that exist, and you can follow them on a day-to-day basis. I have a couple of more that I want to share with you. Create a practice account, a Fox account. What I mean by that is an account that you can create without putting money in it, so that you can at least have that direct experience of watching your picks in the market. You can do that at altpocket.io. Alt Pocket O. So after you've looked at different currencies and you want to just follow along without spending any money, you can open a practice account there. If you would like to, on a daily basis, get news on what's happening in the world of cryptographic currency, one of the resources you might consider is CoinDesk.com. CoinDesk, CoinDesk.com. So there are 5 resources that can get people at least pointed in the right direction. And if you have any specific questions that you would like my reflection or assistance on tackling, of course, you can email me directly at self@rafikicai.com.
And for those who did not get that information, that's a lot of information, we will be putting that information in the newsletter that I will be sending out within the hour. Expect a newsletter from Inspirational Conversations, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks, and you can sign up at ZeldaSpeaks.com. And there's scroll to the bottom, you'll see a little purple sign there. You can just put your information in there, and we will send that to you, because he just gave you these 5 resources. There are tons more. And I think one of the most important things to do is do your research and set up your practice account and just practice so you can watch the market. I want to thank you, Brother Rafiki Cai, for being the leader, the digital doctor on this side of the planet, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. Where are you off to now? I know you just came back from Asia. Where are you headed to now?
So I'm sitting tight in the States until at least June. So I now am on the East Coast, so I'll be kind of like on the circuit between like New Jersey, New York, Richmond, D.C., at least for another few weeks, and then probably we'll shift to the West Coast for a while. So I'm in motion until late June when I hope to bounce back out of the country to Colombia and Panama.
All righty. Well, please bring some sun back whenever you come, and thank you so much. We will see you again the second Tuesday of every month, where we will continue this conversation, and hopefully some of our listeners will have joined us by setting up their accounts, and we can talk more about it and learn more. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, stay tuned to your next Monday morning Mindfulness on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks, and you will be simply delighted. Be sure and sign up for a newsletter and stay in contact with us during the week, 312-409-6619. And always email me, zelda@zeldaspeaks.com. Until then, peace and blessings.